The wolves' hunt, the sound of Nathan Kane's ragged breathing, echoed inside his cracked helmet as he lay pinned against the cold forest floor. Blood seeped through his torn suit from the gash in his side, each heartbeat sending fresh waves of pain through his body. His vision blurred, but through the haze he could see them dark silhouettes moving in the shadows, their eyes glowing like molten amber in the darkness. The alien wolves were unlike anything from Earth. Massive creatures that towered above him, their bodies covered in armor-like plates that seemed grafted to their midnight black fur. Their elongated jaws snapped open and closed, revealing rows of razor-sharp teeth that gleamed weightily in the pale moonlight. Venom dripped from their fangs, sizzling as it hit the forest floor and burned small holes in the earth. Nathan tried to move, his survival instincts screaming at him to run, to fight, to do anything but lie there helpless. But his body wouldn't respond. The crash had taken everything out of him, and now these predators had found him. The pack circled him slowly, their glowing eyes fixed on his every twitch. Each step they took was unnaturally silent, as if they existed outside the normal laws of physics. One of the creatures stepped closer, lowering its massive head until its burning eyes were inches from Nathan's face. A low growl rumbled from deep in its chest, vibrating through the ground and into his bones. Nathan could smell its breath-acrid and alien, like burning metal in decay. This is it, he thought, closing his eyes. After everything he'd been through, all the missions, all the close calls, this was how it would end. Alone on some godforsaken alien planet, torn apart by creatures that shouldn't exist. The mission had been simple enough routine planetary survey, quick in and out. But when their ship had malfunctioned and crashed, everything had gone wrong. His crew was scattered somewhere in this hostile wilderness, probably already dead. And now he would join them. The lead wolf leaned in closer, its jaw opening wide. Nathan could see down its throat, could smell the venom building up in its glands. He braced himself for the end. But then something impossible happened. The wolves suddenly stopped. Their growling ceased, and an eerie silence fell over the forest. Nathan's eyes snapped open in confusion. The pack had frozen in place, their glowing. Eyes no longer focused on him, but on something behind him. Even the lead wolf, which had been seconds away from tearing out his throat, stepped back and lowered its head. Nathan heard the soft rustle of underbrush behind him. Through the thick fog that had begun to roll in, a tall figure emerged from the shadows. At first, Nathan thought it was another predator, another nightmare creature from this cursed world. But as the figure stepped into the clearing, something extraordinary happened. The wolves recoiled. These massive, terrifying beasts that had been ready to devour him moments before now cowered like frightened puppies. They whimpered and slunk backward, their glowing eyes never leaving the newcomer. The figure was humanoid, clad in armor that seemed to shimmer with its own inner light. Its face was hidden behind an opaque visor, but it moved with purpose and authority. Without saying a word, it raised one hand, palm glowing with a faint energy. The wolves let out final, guttural whimpers and melted back into the shadows, disappearing as quickly and silently as they had appeared. In seconds, Nathan was alone with this mysterious savior. The figure knelt beside him, and through the visor, Nathan felt as though he was being studied, measured. When it finally spoke, the voice was calm but carried an undeniable authority. "You're not supposed to be here." Nathan managed a weak laugh despite his pain. No kidding. But even as relief washed over him, 1,000 questions raced through his mind. Who was this figure? How had it controlled those monsters? And most importantly, what did it want with him? The mysterious healer, the armored figure, said nothing. More, simply placing a gloved hand over Nathan's bleeding wound. Immediately, a warm energy spread from the point of contact, dulling the sharp agony that had been tearing through his side. Nathan flinched as his suit's sensors went wild, detecting massive energy surges that should have been impossible. Within seconds, the pain that had nearly paralyzed him began to fade. His breathing steadied, and the fog clouding his mind started to lift. Whatever this being was doing, it was healing him in ways that defied everything he knew about medicine or technology. "What are you?" Nathan managed to whisper, his voice still strained, but stronger than before. The figure stood, pulling its hand away from the now closed wound. "Not your enemy," it replied simply. Nathan struggled to sit up, his body still weak, but no longer on the brink of collapse. He looked around the forest, half expecting the wolves to return, but the area had fallen eerily quiet. The oppressive sense of danger that had been suffocating him was gone, replaced by an unsettling calm. "Those things?" Nathan stammered, gesturing to where the pack had been. "They were going to kill me. Why did they stop?" "I know," the figure interrupted, its voice low and distant. "But they won't harm you now." Nathan couldn't shake the feeling that this strange being had far more control over the situation than it was letting on. He pushed himself to his feet, swaying slightly as he regained his balance. "I don't understand. What were those creatures? Why did they listen to you?" The figure tilted its head slightly, as if considering whether to answer. "This planet isn't what you think it is. The creatures you encountered, they're protectors, not predators. But you're an intruder." Nathan's jaw clenched. "I was sent here on a mission. My crew and I, we crash-landed. We're just trying to survive. I don't want any trouble." The figure's visor glinted in the moonlight. Survival and intrusion are often the same thing in the eyes of the planet's guardians. "Planet's guardians?" Nathan shook his head, frustration mounting. "Listen, I didn't ask for this. I didn't ask to be stranded here. My team is out there somewhere, and I need to find them. I need to get off this planet." The figure took a step back, folding its arms across its chest. "The planet has a way of deciding who stays and who leaves." For a moment, neither spoke. Nathan's pulse raced as he scanned the forest around them, still half expecting the wolves to reappear. But they didn't. The forest seemed to be holding its breath, waiting. "Why help me?" Nathan asked finally. "If I'm an intruder, why not just let them kill me?" The figure was silent for a long time before answering. "Because sometimes the planet shows mercy." Nathan stared at the mysterious being, unsure how to respond. There was something deeply unsettling about this place, something beyond the wolves, and the strange figure standing before him. It was as if the entire world was alive, watching him, waiting for him to make a move. He could feel it in the air, in the way the trees swayed, in the way the ground seemed to pulse beneath his feet. "I don't have time for cryptic riddles," Nathan said, his voice hardening. "I need to find my team." "Are you going to help me or not?" The figure was silent for a moment, then nodded once. "I'll take you to them. But you must understand something." First, Nathan raised an eyebrow. "What's that?" The figure stepped closer, its presence towering and intense. "This planet tests all who walk upon it. Your survival here is not a matter of luck or skill. It is a matter of worth." "Worth?" Nathan frowned. "What the hell does that mean?" "You'll find out soon enough." Without another word, the figure turned and began walking deeper into the mist, leaving Nathan no choice but to follow. His mind raced with questions, but something told him that the answers weren't going to come easily. As they ventured deeper into the alien forest, the shadows seemed to grow darker, the air thicker. The weight of the planet's gaze pressed down on him, and for the first time since crash landing, Nathan realized that escaping this place might not be as simple as he'd thought. Behind them, hidden in the darkness, glowing eyes watched their every step. The impossible truth Nathan's steps faltered as he followed the mysterious figure deeper into the forest. The eerie calm that had replaced the wolves' deadly menace weighed heavily on his shoulders, and his mind spun with questions that seemed to have no answers. Nothing made sense anymore, but then again, nothing had made sense since the crash. The figure ahead moved with an unnaturally smooth gait, too purposeful for a human. Every step seemed deliberate, as if it knew exactly where it was going. The trees around them seemed to bend inward, their branches reaching like gnarled fingers, and Nathan couldn't shake the feeling that the forest itself was alive. "You still haven't told me where we're going," Nathan said, his voice cutting through the oppressive silence. The figure didn't turn but answered, its voice slightly muffled by the visor. "You'll see soon enough." Nathan gritted his teeth. Vague answers and riddles, real helpful. "You know, if you're going to keep acting like some mystical tour guide, you could at least explain why I'm not dead yet." The figure slowed its pace and finally glanced over its shoulder. "You're not dead because the planet hasn't decided yet." The statement hit Nathan like a physical blow. The planet? He wanted to scoff, to laugh it off as more cryptic nonsense. But the way the wolves had stopped, the way the trees moved, it all made an unsettling kind of sense. "Look," Nathan said, his voice softening slightly, "I'm just a guy trying to survive here. I didn't ask for any of this." He paused, lowering his gaze. "I don't know if you understand, but I've lost people. People who trusted me." The figure stopped, completely, turning to face Nathan fully. For the first time, Nathan felt something more than cold indifference radiating from the mysterious being. "The planet doesn't care about your losses," the figure said, "but it may be merciful enough to let you redeem them." Nathan blinked, his throat tightening. The exhaustion from days of running, hiding, and fighting crashed into him all at once. "Redeem them?" His voice wavered. "I can't even save myself." A long pause followed. The figure tilted its head, considering Nathan for what felt like an eternity. Then, slowly, it reached up to lift its visor. The face beneath was human, familiar, Nathan's. Heart leaped into his throat as he recognized her. Tara? It was Commander Tara Mills, his former second-in-command. Her face was scarred and weathered by years of hardship, her once bright eyes now cold and distant. Nathan's memories of her flooded back. She had been one of the best soldiers he'd ever known, someone he'd trusted with his life, but she had died. He'd seen her fall, crushed beneath the wreckage when their previous ship had gone down years ago. Or had he? Could his mind have twisted the memory? Tara, I thought. Nathan struggled to form words. "I thought you were dead." Her expression didn't soften. "I was." Nathan stepped back, confusion swirling with disbelief. "How? How is this possible?" She lowered the visor again, concealing her face once more. "This planet doesn't let go of anyone." "Nathan, not unless it wants to." "That doesn't make sense." Nathan's voice cracked as panic gripped him. "None of this makes sense." "You can't just—" "Stop," she interrupted, her voice sharp. "There's no use fighting what you can't control. You need to understand that." Nathan's fists clenched, anger overtaking his shock. "Control? That's rich, coming from someone who just told me this planet has a mind of its own. How can I trust?" "Anything you say, Tara?" Silence weighed heavily in the air. When she spoke again, her tone was colder, more distant. "You don't have to trust me, but you'll have to accept the truth if you want to survive." Nathan's stomach twisted. His mind rebelled against everything she was saying. Was she even the real Tara, or just some puppet, a remnant of what once was, twisted and warped by this cursed world? Before he could voice his doubts, the ground beneath them trembled. Tara snapped her head toward the forest, her posture tensing. "We need to move. Now." Nathan's legs were slow to respond, his mind still grappling with the impossible. Revelation. But the tremor in the earth grew stronger, more violent. He felt it in his bones, like the planet itself was waking up. Tara grabbed his arm, dragging him forward. "Nathan, we need to move." The urgency in her voice snapped him back to the present. They broke into a run, a once quiet forest now alive, with the sound of cracking branches and distant growls. The wolves, he could feel them again, the same oppressive presence that had surrounded him before. Only this time, they weren't holding back Dot as they sprinted through the forest, dodging vines and roots that seemed to lash out like living traps. Nathan's mind was a storm of conflicting thoughts. Tara was alive, or something like her was. She was leading him toward ... what? His team? Safety? Or deeper into the planet's twisted game? The forest around them changed as they ran. The air grew thicker, heavier, and Nathan's chest felt tight, like he was breathing underwater. The trees loomed larger, their branches reaching out like skeletal fingers. Asterisk, the heart of truth. Nathan shook his head, trying to piece together what he was seeing. "I don't understand. Why did you bring me here?" Tara turned to him, her tone harsh, almost accusing. "You wanted answers. This is where you'll find them. But be careful what you wish for, Nathan. The truth isn't always kind." Nathan opened his mouth to respond, but his words died in his throat. His instincts screamed at him to turn back, to run, to abandon this whole nightmare. But something else, a deeper, more primal urge, pulled him toward the structure. Slowly, hesitantly, he stepped forward. As he neared the entrance, the symbols on the stone flared brighter, and the ground beneath his feet began to hum with energy. Tara stayed back, watching him with unreadable eyes. Nathan reached the doorway, his heart pounding. He could feel the weight of the planet's gaze on him again, more intense than ever. For a moment he hesitated, but then, with a deep breath, he stepped inside. The air was cooler here, the light dimmer. The walls of the chamber were covered in more of the glowing symbols, casting strange shadows that seemed to dance and shift. In the center of the room stood a large metallic pedestal, and on that pedestal rested a sphere small, no larger than a fist, but pulsing with an energy that made Nathan's skin tingle. Instinctively, he reached out toward it. "No!" Tara's voice rang out from the entrance, sharp and filled with warning. "Don't touch it." Nathan froze, his hand hovering inches above the sphere. "Why?" "What is it?" Tara stepped forward, her movements slow and deliberate. "It's the key to everything." Nathan frowned. "What does that mean?" She sighed, lowering her visor again as if she couldn't bear to look him in the eye. "That sphere controls the planet, its power, its defenses, everything." Nathan's mind reeled. "And if I take it?" Tara's silence was deafening. Nathan's heart raced. His entire life, he had been searching for control, for a way to fix the mistakes he had made, to make things right. And now here it was, within arms. Reach, but at what cost? He looked at Tara, at the person she had become, and wondered if this planet had done that to her. If this power had twisted her into something else, someone else. Could he risk the same fate? His hand trembled as he reached for the sphere again, every instinct screaming at him to stop, to walk away. But the urge was overwhelming. This was his chance, his one shot at redemption, at saving his crew, at saving himself. Nathan's fingers brushed against the cold surface of the sphere. A sudden surge of energy shot through his body, and the world around him began to blur. "Nathan!" Tara shouted, but her voice sounded distant, muffled. The last thing Nathan felt before everything went dark was the sensation of the planet itself alive and sentient whispering into his mind. Images flashed before his eyes. His crew, scattered across the planet, not dead but changed, transformed like Terra had been. The wolves, the guardians, the tests, it all made sense now. The planet wasn't trying to kill them. It was trying to recruit them. When Nathan's vision cleared, he was back in the chamber, his hands still hovering over the sphere. But something had changed. The pulsing hum of the planet's energy that had been buzzing under his skin was gone. He was back in the chamber, but now he understood. The sphere wasn't some magical artifact that would give him control over the planet. It wasn't a weapon. It wasn't anything like what Terra had led him to believe. The sphere was inert, useless, just an empty vessel. Nathan swallowed hard, his heart pounding as a cold realization settled over him. What have I done? Terra stepped forward, her voice calm but edged with something Nathan couldn't quite place. You shouldn't have touched it. You don't know what you've done. Nathan spun around, his frustration boiling over. What are you talking about? This thing isn't doing anything. It's just sitting there. Terra didn't flinch. Instead, she took another step closer, her voice soft now, almost pitying. You don't understand, do you? It was never about the sphere, Nathan. It was about you. Nathan froze as her words sank in. What do you mean, about me? Tara's voice became mechanical, distant. The planet chose you, Nathan. It's been testing you since the moment you crash-landed. Everything you've seen, everything you've been through, was a way for the planet to evaluate you, to decide if you were worthy. Worthy of what? He demanded, his voice cracking. She hesitated, and for a moment, Nathan thought he saw regret flicker across her face. Worthy of survival. The terrible truth crashed over him like a wave. The planet wasn't some hostile environment trying to kill him. It was intelligent. The final choice Nathan's mind raced as the full weight of his situation became clear. He had come here thinking he could outsmart the planet, thinking he could find a way to save himself and his crew. But the planet had been one step ahead of him the entire time, pulling strings, guiding him toward this moment. And now it was up to him to decide what happened next. He turned back to the sphere, his thoughts spinning. The planet had been testing him, watching him, but it hadn't broken him yet. That had to mean something. Terra took another step closer, her voice soft but insistent. You have a choice, Nathan. You can walk away. You can leave this place behind. Forget about the crew. Forget about everything. The planet might let you go. Nathan blinked, his pulse quickening. Or? Terra's voice hardened. Or you can stay. You can take your place here with the others. The planet will accept you. You'll become part of something greater. Nathan stared at her, his mind whirling. It was a choice, but it wasn't really a choice. He could either abandon everything he had fought for, everything he had tried to save, or he could become just like Tara, another cog in the planet's endless machine. His breath came in ragged gasps as the weight of it all pressed down on him. He couldn't stay. He couldn't let the planet win. But if he left, what would that make him? A coward? A failure? His hand trembled as it hovered over the sphere again. But then he realized something. It wasn't about the sphere. It never had been. The sphere was just a distraction, a symbol of the planet's power. But the real test, the real choice, had always been about Nathan himself. Slowly, carefully, he withdrew his hand. No, he said softly, his voice barely above a whisper. I won't play your game. Tara tilted her head, confusion evident even through her visor. What are you doing? I'm walking away, Nathan said, his voice stronger now. I'm not going to let this place control me. I'm not going to let it decide who I am. Tara took a step back, her posture rigid. You don't understand, Nathan. You can't. Just leave. Watch me, he said, turning away from the sphere and heading for the door. But as he walked, something strange began to happen. The walls of the chamber flickered, the symbols dimming, and the ground beneath his feet seemed to shift. The planet, it seemed, was reacting to his decision. He could feel it now in the air, in the earth, in the way the trees rustled just beyond. The chamber. The planet was angry, confused, perhaps even disappointed. Tara followed him, her voice tinged with desperation. "Nathan, you can't leave. If you walk away now, the planet won't let you go." Nathan didn't stop. He had made his choice. He wasn't going to let the planet dictate his fate. He wasn't going to become part of its twisted game. As he reached the entrance, the chamber trembled, the walls pulsing with energy. But Nathan didn't look back. He stepped out into the open air, his lungs filling with the crisp, cool breeze of the forest. The wolves were gone. The trees were still. And for the first time since he had crash-landed on this cursed planet, Nathan felt like he was in control. Tara stopped at the entrance to the chamber, watching him with an intensity that made his skin crawl. "You're making a mistake," she said, her voice low. "Maybe," Nathan replied, glancing over his shoulder. "But it's my mistake to make." And with that, he turned and walked into the forest. But something had changed. As Nathan moved through the trees, he noticed that the oppressive weight of the planet's gaze was indeed fading with every step. The air felt lighter, the shadows less menacing. It was as if the planet was letting him go. He walked for what felt like hours, following an instinct he couldn't explain. And then, in a clearing ahead, he saw them, the emergency beacon of his ship's escape pod, still blinking weakly in the dim light. Nathan broke into a run, his heart pounding with hope for the first time in days. As he reached the pod, he found 2 of his surviving crew members inside, injured but alive. They looked up at him with relief and disbelief. "Nathan." Sarah, his communications officer, struggled to sit up. "We thought you were dead." "Almost was," Nathan said, quickly checking their injuries. "Can this thing still fly?" Marcus, his pilot, nodded weakly. "The engines are damaged, but we've got enough power for 1 jump. Maybe 2 if we're lucky." Nathan helped them both to their feet, his mind racing. The planet had tested him, and somehow, by refusing to play its game, by choosing to walk away from power and control, he had passed Dot as they prepared the escape pod for launch. Nathan looked back one last time at the forest, where he'd left Tara. Part of him wanted to go back, to try to save her too. But he knew it was too late. She had made her choice long ago, just as he had made his. The pod lifted off with a shuddering roar, breaking through the planet's atmosphere and into the cold void of space. As they cleared the gravitational field, Nathan saw the planet shrinking. Behind them, a blue-green marble that looked deceptively peaceful from a distance. "What happened down there?" Sarah asked, noticing the haunted look in Nathan's eyes. Nathan was quiet for a long moment, watching the planet disappear into the darkness. "We were tested," he said finally, "and somehow we passed." 3 months later, Nathan stood before a debriefing committee, his official report filed and classified. He had told them about the crash, about the wolves, about the strange energy readings. But he had left out the most important parts, the parts about Tara, about the planet's consciousness, about the choice he had been forced to make. Some truths were too dangerous to share. As he walked out of the briefing room, Nathan caught his reflection in a window. He looked older, changed by his experience. But he was still human, still himself. And that, he realized, was the most important victory of all. Sometimes the greatest test isn't about gaining power or control. Sometimes it's about having the strength to walk away, to choose your own path, even when the universe seems determined to decide your fate for you. Nathan had learned that lesson on a distant world, surrounded by alien wolves and faced with an impossible choice. And he had chosen to Remain human. In the end, that was enough. The end?